Hey everybody, and welcome back to another full armor gaming video. My name is Dave, and today I want to cover another part in my D&D for Dummies series that I'm doing right now. So today what I want to talk about are the 6 main stats. There's not really an official name for them. I call them attributes, but these are the basis of your character. They're the foundation. So what I want to do today is explain each one of them so that it can help you get a better idea of what and who your character is based on those stats. So, like I said, there's 6 to begin with. Excuse me. The first is going to be your strength. I saw a cool little analogy, and each one of these is like equating it to a form of dealing with a tomato. So, just to kind of give you a branch of what I'm talking about, strength, your strength modifier is like how well can you crush a tomato? Dexterity is the second, and it is going to be how well can you dodge someone throwing a tomato at you. The third is constitution, and it is how easily can you eat a rotten tomato and not get sick. Intelligence is your ability to know that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put a tomato in a fruit salad. And charisma is your ability to sell a tomato-based fruit salad to somebody. So that's just like a fun little way of looking at these 6 stats of like understanding the basis of what they're actually trying to do. So I want to break down each one a little bit more individually here. And then my next video is going to be about specific skills. So the skills are a big part of this, but they each are associated to a different one of these attributes. So like I said before, strength is going to be all about your character's ability to handle physical situations, be it through lifting a heavy rock, pushing a door, grabbing a hold of and holding somebody in combat, climbing a rope, so, maybe your ability to jump really far, those kind of things. Those are all going to be based off your strength modifier or your strength stat. The next is going to be your dexterity. Now, dexterity is a big one because dexterity not only does it include your ability to do things that are more agile based, like you want to do some sort of acrobatics or like flipping or twisting and all that kind of stuff. That's going to be based on your dexterity, but also your AC, so your armor class, the thing that determines whether or not you get hit in combat. One of the things that is directly based off of is your dexterity. How agile are you? It's not always just about how strong is your armor. Sometimes the best way to absorb to not get hit isn't necessarily armor, it's just to dodge. So dexterity does play a role in your AC as well. It also it helps you do things if you're like trying to be super sneaky, or when it comes to pickpocketing or sleight of hand, or I want to put this in someone's bag and make it look like they had it the whole time. That's a lot of that's going to be based off your dexterity. The third is constitution. So constitution has a lot of different roles. Its main role is to determine how much health do you have. It's what makes up your HP, your hit points. That's the main stat that contributes into that. There's a couple other things it also does. So the main thing that it does outside of your hit points is for the people that have the ability to cast spells. There are certain spells in the game that are called concentration spells, which means in order for you to maintain that spell on someone, it is requiring you to concentrate on that spell. If you were to get hit in combat, you have to make a concentration check, which is essentially a constitution saving throw. So you would roll your dice and you would add a number that is based off of your constitution score, and you would add that number to determine if you get to keep using that spell or if your concentration on that spell breaks and you lose the spell. For casters, it is a very big stat, especially ones like clerics and wizards and stuff that use a lot of concentration-based spells. Having a high constitution is extremely important to be able to maintain spells that you cast. The fourth is going to be intelligence. So this is also a stat that would be very, very popular on your casters. So like I said before, intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a fruit salad. I always look at intelligence as book smarts. How book smart is your character? Um, so yeah, so I guess the big thing about that, the intelligence doesn't get used in a ton of different things, other than there's a lot of skills that get used in it, and then it's very important for certain casters to have high intelligence as well. But it's when it comes to role playing your character, probably the most common form of that is if people have very low intelligence, like below 10, like 8 or something like that. It's always fun to kind of role play like your character has such low intelligence he might not be able to read, or has trouble counting, or he doesn't quite grasp complex situations, which it's always a lot of fun to have someone in the party that can sometimes be a little bit of a intellectual liability. It always just kind of adds a lot of fun to the table. The fifth one is wisdom. Now, this is a very big one. This gets used in multiple different classes when it comes towards their stats towards casting spells or other situations like that, their saving throws. Wisdom also, in my opinion, is probably one of the more important ones just because there's a certain skill that gets used a lot that is based off of, and that is perception, as your ability to notice what is happening around you. That is probably, when it comes to skill checks, it's probably the skill check that gets rolled more than anything else, at least at my tables. So it is very important. It is your ability to, I like to look at this as common sense. This is your ability to notice the world around you and to have a very good understanding of how the world works, not necessarily information about the world, but just the workings of how it works. You have like, okay, I'm a little bit better at tracking things out in the wild. I understand, hey, don't eat this because this is going to make you sick. That kind of stuff. That's wisdom. And then the last one is charisma. This is actually one of my favorite stats to work with because charisma is essentially how other people in the world view your character when it comes to their likability, or even just your ability to get people to hop on board with what you want. There's a lot of different ways that you can role play out high charisma, but I always like to use illustrations, try to give like certain character TV characters, something like that, to kind of give an illustration of what I'm talking about. So like, I don't know how many of you guys have seen the Parks and Recreation. Chris Pratt's character Andy Dwyer. I would say Andy Dwyer has a very low intelligence, but a very high charisma. He's not super smart, but man, is he likable. People really just like him. And so now charisma can go across as like, you're just a likable person. When you say things, when you do things, people just like it. Or you could maybe go more towards intimidation. You have high charisma because you have the ability to get people to do what you want them to do, whether it be through smooth talking or maybe a very impactful threat. Something along those lines. But charisma is also going to be the main spellcasting modifier for warlocks, for sorcerers. It's also you do use high charisma in paladins as well. But I'm going to do more videos in the future, kind of leaning more towards specifics of each of the individual classes. But really today, the point of this video was I wanted to hit on what these 6 main stats are, so that you have a basic understanding of what they mean. So when it comes to creating your character and having an idea what you want your character to be like, knowing where to put your points in these stats to kind of make the character what you want. Or if someone is to hand you a character sheet, you can look at it and see what are the strengths and weaknesses of this character, and that way you can kind of learn how to role play as them in a more effective and fun way. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Like always, like and subscribe so I can keep these coming to you and we can keep having a lot of fun going through D&D and learning together. All right, thanks.